Hey everyone, so like I said in the video that I posted just this morning, I wanted to share this video on a topic that I know I've been struggling with lately, and I feel like a lot of college students can relate on overcoming comparing yourself to others. So do you ever get to a point where you say to yourself, man, I wish I could be like that person, man, she has her life together, I want to do everything just like her, or he's so great, like I want to have the same job that he has so I can get the same car, so I can get the same things and the same everything just like him because his life seems so perfect. Have any of you ever said those things or looked at someone else and was just like, wow, I want to be just like them so that way I can be successful like them, or all that stuff? I'm guilty of that, like crazy. So in the video that I shared on Sunday, when I was just really upset, I really prayed about it and realized that a lot of my, anxiety and frustration and just being upset came from comparing myself to others. And this is not the first time that this has happened. When I was an undergrad, I feel like that's a big thing in college. You compare yourself to other students, and honestly the college even does that on its own, of comparing students to each other, ranking students in a certain like students have a certain distinction by having certain grades and all this stuff, and that's not a bad thing, but at the same time it can also cause a lot of students to compare themselves to others to try to achieve a certain goal. And having goals is definitely not bad. It's not bad at all, but a lot of times when you get to a point where you are striving to be like someone else, that's when it can get a little dangerous. So in this video, I kind of just wanted to share some information that I found, and some Bible verses and just some things that I found that I have been implementing recently in my life and has been helping a lot in terms of trying to overcome comparing myself to others. One verse that I found was Galatians 1 verse 10, and it says, am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. And when I read that, I was like, this was just really big for me, because I should only be following Christ. If I'm a Christian, my example should be Jesus Christ, right? And a lot of times we just get into the thinking of, if we do a certain thing that someone else is doing, then we're going to have the same result as them, forgetting that we are two different people with different personalities, different mindsets. The way that we do things is different, so it's not always going to yield the same results. And when you start to begin to understand that, you realize that you can only go at the pace that you can go. You should never try to rush it. You should never try to compare yourself to someone else thinking that just because they did it, it's going to have the same result as you. So what are the dangers of comparing yourself to others? So first one, you don't know everyone's story. Alright, so what I have to say with this is, when you compare yourself to others, you see this beautiful picture that you have. You only see one side. You don't know what that person has gone through to be where they're at, and you don't know what it took to get there, and you actually don't even know if they're even happy. A lot of times people have told me, like, oh my gosh, like, Danica, you have it all together, like, you're like perfect. I was like, oh my gosh, maybe that's what they see, but inside I'm a mess, and it's just like, but they wouldn't know that because that's not what they see. So I had to learn. I'm just like, well, if I always think that if people are always telling me like, oh, you're so perfect, and I'm just like, whoa, then why do I do the same thing of comparing myself to others and be like, wow, like they're so perfect? So that's the first one. The second one is, when you begin to compare yourself to others, you limit your own potential. when you start looking at other people and when you start trying to compare yourself, you're limiting the very person that God needs you to be. You know, God might be like, well, I need Donicia to go through X, Y, and Z to be where I need her to be. However, Donicia is looking at Jane over there, and she wants to be like her, but she's not letting me put her through X, Y, and Z to be the best Donicia that I need her to be. And it's just like, oh, when I realized, I was just like, man, like, I'm limiting my own potential by trying to be someone else. Third, you will never be satisfied. And what I mean by this is that you can keep striving to be like someone. You keep striving to go out and try to be this person that, you know, God doesn't even need you to be. You'll never be satisfied because you'll be trying to constantly go after something that's probably wasn't even ever meant for you. So, next, how can we overcome comparing ourselves to others? This is the big one, and this is something that I'm still working on and trying to implement these things in my life. But here's some things that I've found is, one, allow God to set your goals and your plans. What do I mean by that? When you have a relationship with God, you'll see that He really reveals certain things to you, that He begins to show you things about your life, and you just see certain confirmations just happening, and you're just like, whoa. And part of that is asking Him, like, hey God, I don't really know what you want me to do, but I'm really asking you to just be the one who sets my goals and be the one who sets my plans. And I know sometimes, like, you might sit there and be like, oh, I'm not hearing anything from God, but you have to be confident in knowing that God's not going to leave you hanging. So whether you might think that you need to have a set out schedule, God is just like, no, I just actually need you to be, you know, just taking it day by day and letting me lead you day by day. Or God could be like, I need you to do this on this day, this on that. Like, it's different for everyone, and that's the main reason why you can't really compare yourself to others, because God has a different plan and purpose and goal for everyone, you know, specific to that person, because we are His masterpiece. So that's corny, isn't it? I tried. But, okay. So allow Him to set those plans and goals in your life. And by doing that, you won't have to worry about looking to other people to feel like you are a good enough person, or to feel like you could be at your best. 2, always ask for direction from Christ. So I know that a lot of times we can always seek other people for help and, you know, try to reach out to them for direction, and that's fine. However, just always make sure that you're seeking out God first, and that you're always allowing Him to, like the first one, be the one who sets your goals and your plans. And the reason why I say always ask God for direction is because when you ask God for direction, He will be the one setting your path straight. And that way, you won't be as likely to look to other people and compare yourself trying to be at the level and at the place that they're at. And that's so beautiful, because when you're focused on something and when you really have a goal, you don't even worry about what's around you. So when you're asking God for direction and when He begins to, you know, direct you in the places that you need to go, you're not even worried about anyone else, and you're not even looking to others. And the last thing that I will share is, when you begin to start thinking about others and what they're doing and comparing yourself, pray. And this is true because we all do it. We're human. We get to a point where we think that, like, we're not good enough, and we need to compare ourselves to others, and we need to think that if we do what other people are doing, then we'll be accepted and then we'll feel better about ourselves. But that's not really true, and it's hard to see that it's not true in your situation or in wanting to compare yourself to others, but it is. So when you get to that point of thinking, like, looking at someone, it's like, oh man, like, their life is so perfect, like, I want to be just like them, I want to do everything just like them. Stop yourself. I get to a point where I'm just like, whoa, Stop it. You don't even know you don't even know the person. You don't even know what that person's going through, or what that person had to go through to be where they're at. So I just get to a point and I just pray, and I'm just like, all right, God, I'm getting to a point where I'm looking at others. Allow my focus to just be redirected to you. Allow me to just realize that only you can direct my steps, and only you have my plan and purpose for my life. And that really helps a lot, because then it takes your mind off of it, and then, you know, you're kind of like whipped back into shape, kind of. Instead, be happy for them. You know, instead of looking at someone and saying like, oh, I need to be just like them and do what they're doing to get to where they're at. No, don't even worry about them, but be happy for them. Pray for them. Be grateful that God has blessed them, and look at it more so instead as a testimony than as a way for what you need to do. And what I will say with all of this is, I'm not saying that, you know, having mentors or having individuals that you look up to is a bad thing. Of course not. Like, there are always people that we can look up to and admire, but when it becomes something where you feel like you have to do everything to be like them, where you have to follow their path, where you have to follow everything that they're doing, that's when it's not okay, really, because it can be detrimental. It can, you know, be damaging for you, and like I said, limit your own potential. So don't think that, you know, having people that you look up to or seek advice from, no, that's okay. But when you get to a point where you're starting to let those people be the ones who you're following instead of following Christ, then there's a problem happening. The last Bible verse that I'll share with you today regarding comparing yourself to others is also in Galatians 6 verse 4. It says, each one should test their own actions, then they can take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to someone else. So really with that verse, it kind of just says it all. You know, test your own actions. You know, focus on yourself. Focus on what you're doing, and focus on allowing Christ to be the one who molds you and who directs you and who sets your plans and your goals. And, you know, by doing that, you'll see a huge difference in not really having even a desire to look at other people and want to be like others, because you'll see how God is just showing you things about yourself and leading you to what you need to be. So in overcoming comparing yourself to others, really just focus on Christ. I know that sounds so cliche. I'm just like, just trust God and just focus on God. But seriously and truly, really just focus on Christ, because He's the one that has your beautiful plan. And this was kind of part of what really helped me get through this past week, and feeling upset and feeling like I wasn't good enough. But really, it was realizing that I don't need to compare myself to others, because God has a beautiful plan set out for me already. And it's hard to see that sometimes. It really is. And it was hard to see that last week. But I'm trusting in His plan. I'm trusting Him throughout the process. And that can always be the hardest thing. But when you realize that you're not by yourself, it makes it all that much more worth it. And like my mom always says, every time like I get excited about like a Christian artist or something like coming or something like that, I'm always just like, oh my gosh, Mom, like there's this concert that I'm going to. She's like, why are you so excited? They're not God. And I'm just like, I would always laugh, but honestly, she's right. They're not God. So so if you ever get to a point where you're thinking about like trying to compare yourself to others, just be like, this person isn't Jesus. Like, you know, why do I need to be so concerned? That might help too a little bit. But that's really all I wanted to share for today. I hope that it encourages you as much as it has encouraged me. Comparing yourself to others is like one of the hardest things that I feel like one of the hardest things as a Christian, because you really just, it's so easy to do, but really just trust God and always seek Him out and pray and let Him be the one to, you know, kind of just direct your steps and guide you through that process. It's not one of those things where you try it one day and then after that you're changed and that's it. You never have to worry about comparing yourself to others. No, it's a continuous dying to your flesh and saying, you know what, I'm looking at this person, but let me focus on Christ. You know, it's not something that, you know, it gets easier the more you really just trust God and allow Him to direct your steps. But it's not a one-day thing. I'm learning that, and that's the hardest part, because like one day you'll be fine, like, yes, I wasn't comparing myself to anyone, I was doing my own thing, and then the next day someone comes along and you're just like, you know. So don't focus on looking at others. But that's all that I really wanted to share today. I really hope that this encourages you as much as it has encouraged me. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. And like I said in my other video, I'm so thankful for each and every single one of you, and all the kind words that you shared and prayers. Gosh, like, I can't even thank you enough. But continue to share your testimonies, any comments, any thoughts, anything that you would like. You can always email me at behismasterpiece@gmail.com. Subscribe if you would like to receive notifications about my videos. And as always, be His masterpiece. Bye, everyone.